says he is ready to cooperate with Iyoko over investigations into his alleged involvement in illegal mining activities.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources has disclosed government's plan to aggressively track all excavators and earth-moving equipment on mining sites.
Also coming up, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association puts planned strike on hold following favorable talks with government.
In business news, the Bank of Ghana has set emergency monetary policy committee meeting for tomorrow, July 17, to avoid mid-year budget clash.
And on the international front, 21 Palestinians killed in the latest carnage at an aid distribution center in southern Gaza. We are live around the world on 3news.com. We are streaming on Facebook as well, and we always love to hear from you, so keep your comments coming in.
The news now in detail, and two senior NDC executives accused of engaging in illegal mining activities are this evening vehemently denying the allegations made against them, which have become the subject of ongoing investigations by Iyoko. Joseph Yamin and Abanga Al-Hassan have been accused of not only mining illegally, but also setting up a rogue task force, extorting monies from small-scale miners. Mawena Edbeta chronicles this development following the Attorney General's directive.
Despite what many have described as a stellar start to his second term as president, John Mahama continues to come under intense pressure over his fight against illegal mining. The president, during his thank you tour of the Western North region, signaled yet again his intention not to countenance Galamsey, threatening to deal with all persons aiding in the illegality he described as a national emergency.
We are alarmed by the environmental destruction that is reported across Awaso, Dadieso, and Sefian and Rianso, mainly due to illegal mining. I must be honest, this is a national emergency. The National Task Force will continue its efforts to halt illegal mining in our forest reserves and on our water bodies. I've also noted the activities of illegal anti-Galamsey task forces that go around extorting money from legitimate small-scale mining companies. I've requested that the authorities arrest and prosecute any individuals involved in this illegal anti-Galamsey activity.
As if that was not enough, the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayeni, will issue fresh directives to Iyoko. A demand for immediate investigations into two top-ranking officials of the NDC accused by the small-scale miners of engaging in Galamsey. The AG in his letter tasked Iyoko to invite the two persons named in recent credible report for interrogation, namely Mr. Yakubu Abanga and Joseph Yamin. Dr. Ayeni further tasked Raymond Archer to widen the scope of investigation to include the matters highlighted in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report on illegal mining. Reacting to the development, convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining urged investigations into activities of illegal mining to go beyond Iyoko.
Iyoko has all the investigative powers. They have all the investigative ability. What I would urge in this particular situation is that there should be collaboration of all the investigative and the law enforcement agencies, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, NID, the police.
He insists politically exposed persons must not be left off the hook.
Akonta Mining, there are two directors. Only one director was arrested. We need to ensure that the second director is also arrested. And that case should go to court.
Right.
Then if you take the Frimpong Boateng report, there are several people who are in Jubilee House who are mentioned in all of that. We need to be actively looking into that. And I'll urge all journalists, every citizen who has any information, let's go under the Whistleblowers Act and let's provide this information.
third vice chair of the NDC, named as one of the persons to be investigated by Iyoko, however, says the allegations over his involvement in the activities of Galamsey are false.
I want to state equivocably clear that without any reservation that I have never and will never be involved in any Galamsey mining activities at any point in my life, or behind any task force. These allegations, my brother, are baseless, malicious, just intended to impugn my heart and reputation.
He has vowed to clear his name, including putting his political position on the line.
I have a mining concession, but as you speak, my brother, I have no excavator working for me at anywhere. That is why I have stated clear that whoever has any evidence against me that I'm doing illegal mining, or I am destroying the forest reserve or the water bodies, or I have formed a task force that is going around to extort money for people, from people to me, I will forfeit my position as the national vice chairman of the party.
Joseph Yamin, on his part, would only leave a cryptic post on his social media account suggesting this is not the last anyone will hear of his involvement in the matter. For now, excitement fills the air for many watchers of the environment space, patiently waiting for government to bite hard at its own, believed to be involved in ravaging the country's lands.
Right, so you would recall that in the directive given by the Minister for the Attorney General to Iyoko, he indicated that investigate those two NDC officials. However, pay attention to the Professor Frimpong Boateng report, and you know that some former government officials or appointees in the erstwhile MPP government under President Akufo-Addo were mentioned in the Professor Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report, and they played various roles according to the report. So Professor Frimpong Boateng, you would recall, was the former minister in charge of environment, science, technology and innovation, and in his latter days before exiting the ministry, released a report and presented it to the president, which had to do with their fight against Galamsey, a mandate that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had given him to undertake. Now, he indicated in the report that he faced major frustrations in achieving that report. In total, he mentioned about 19 individuals who played varied roles, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng. We have teased out a number of them to find out what exactly the allegations leveled against them were regarding the fight against Galamsey. After that, we'll also be engaging Darrell Bosu, who is with Arocha Ghana, to find out what he makes of the current directive given by the Attorney General. But let's take you through some of the individuals captured in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report and what they were alleged to have been involved in. First was Gabi Asare Ochredako. Many of you will know him as a lawyer and a very close family relation to the then President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The allegations brought against him by Professor Frimpong Boateng was that he defended Heritage Imperial Limited, a company that was alleged to be undertaking some illegal activities in forest reserves. And when the professor raised it, he indicated that Gabi was defending them and later accused Gabi of the company of large-scale environmental destruction and also interfered with anti-Galamsey enforcement. So he says the role Gabi played frustrated his efforts in making sure that Heritage Imperial Limited was brought to book. Again, the name of Sir John Kojo Uswefriye, who is currently deceased, many know him as Sir John. He was former Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, and the allegation leveled against him was that he had given permits for illegal mining in protected forest reserves and enabled many Chinese to operate illegally in both forest and water areas or river bodies, which became quite a big national conversation. Again, there was Joseph Albert Kwam, former MP, board member of the Minerals Commission, and Professor Frimpong Boateng alleged that he acquired multiple concessions and sold them unlawfully, and then also by doing so he extorted funds and later lost his seat as a member of parliament due to the public outrage and outcry following his involvement in illegal mining activities. Then there is Eko Ewuzi, who's a former national vice chairman of the NPP in the central region, I beg your pardon, regional vice chairman of the NPP. He is alleged to have sold the seized excavators. You know, Professor Frimpong Boateng, according to his report, seized about 500 excavators. Some of them disappeared, or 200 of them were later found. But this man in question was alleged to have sold some of the seized excavators, was involved in extortion, illegal mining, and money laundering. There is Information Minister, former Information Minister, I should say, Kojo Nkrumah, who, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, orchestrated media attacks to discredit the advocacy and the fight against Galamsey, which was being undertaken by Professor Frimpong Boateng. And again, we have Yao Safoma, former advisor to the president and senior minister at the time. He was also alleged to be defending Eko Ewuzi, who was playing a role in the report, despite evidence that Eko Ewuzi was undertaking some illegal activities and allegedly undermined the anti-Galamsey efforts. So these are some of the individuals that were captured in the report. There is Donald Nchua, who is co-owner of the Heritage Imperial, the company that Gabi Ochredakun was allegedly defending when the issue or the report was sent to the office of the president. I need to place this on record, though, that all these accused individuals in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report denied the allegations and accusations against them. So it is now open to the IOCO to investigate, to find out the veracity of the accusations that have been leveled against them. But now let's engage Daryl Bosu, who is Deputy Director of Arocha, Ghana. Daryl, good evening and thank you for joining us. To start with, what are your initial thoughts on the new directive given to IOCO to not just investigate alleged NDC officials involved in illegal mining, but extend the tentacles to the report from the former administration?
Good evening, my brother. And I think that there's always a time for reckoning, and we welcome this directive from the Attorney General. First of all, it's a way to send a strong message to people within the rank and file of the ruling government that, look, government is not going to tolerate illegal activity or any members of the party engaging in illegal activity. So that is, for me, is a very welcome news. What is more important is that we really get to the bottom of it, and if these people are found culpable, to let the law take its course. Now, the other aspect of extending the investigations to cover the issue of the reports by the former Minister for Environment, Professor Frimpong Boateng, is also very, very important. It's a way to also communicate that, look, whether you engage in that in the past or presently, we are still going to come after you. And I think that is what we missed in the previous administration. People called for investigations, people called for some level of closure for us to get to the bottom of whether really these people, because the level at which Galamsey is rated with impunity, if we do not bring people exposed, quicker exposed persons to book, if found engaging in illegal activity, then that would be very bad. So the government needs to put forward a very good posture that, look, we are not going to tolerate illegal mining in any form by whoever, and it doesn't matter whether you are a member of government or you're a member of the party, we are going to come after you.
Right.
And I think that for us is a good message that needs to go. What is important is that it should not just be a directive, they should actually work on it and see the conclusion of it. That is the most important aspect of this.
Right. And finally and briefly, what would you want to see going forward? We know that it's early days yet. IOCO is even yet to give indications that they are starting work on these investigations. But what tangibles would you want to start seeing that clearly and truly some action is being taken?
Well, I think what we want to see is that this whole process is very transparent. That the government needs to take the citizens along. Clearly, it's also a part of sending the message across. And also, we need to work by the rule of law. I mean, we shouldn't just go after people because we have statements and all of that. We really need to work by the rule of law. So for me, that's very, very important. If it is possible, the government should be giving us regular updates on some of these investigations. If you recall, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, they talk about, and even wrote letters to the president concerning the alleged involvement of the Awin MP in Awin area concerning illegal mine activities. But as we speak, we've not had any conclusion to that matter. We did talk about the Duncan and Extreme constituency chairpersons of the NDC also engaging in legal activity. We have not also seen any action on this. So I want to this time around make sure that the government is very transparent with the process. They should take the citizens along and update them constantly without we having to ask for it.
Daryl, thank you so much for your time this evening. Daryl Bosu, who is the Deputy Director of Arocha, Ghana. So you're still watching News 360, and our conversation has to do with issues regarding the fight against Galamsey and the recent directive by the Attorney General to Iyoko.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boa, has indicated that government is embarking on an aggressive move to track all excavators and earth-moving equipment on mining sites. He revealed a multi-agency effort to issue import permits, approval and licensing of excavators and earth-moving equipment in those sites.
The Ghana Revenue Authority plays a pivotal role in this process. Custom officers at all designated ports of entry have been instructed only to allow clearance and gate out all earth-moving and mining equipment when approved import permit is presented and endorsed by both the Ministry of Transport and the Commissioner General. Furthermore, a special clearance code is being developed within the Integrated Customs Management System, ICOMS, to track these permits and ensure accountability at every stage. Our Speaker, once clearance is granted by the above institutions and the equipment is gated out from the port, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority assigns a special identification number plate, distinguishable from the conventional number plate. Normally it's in a green color. The inscription on the number plate is green printed on a white background. Speaker, to ensure that we have eyes on the movement of each earth-moving and mining equipment, tracking as required under LI 2404, each registered equipment is fitted with a tamper-proof GPS tracker. This tamper-proof will make sure that anytime you tamper with it, it will go along in the operations room. Managed by a centralized equipment monitoring and control room, currently set up and operated by personnel of the Minerals Commission. Since this system was put in place, 150 of these excavators have gone through the tracking system at the Minerals Commission.
Right, so a lot of these distractions on our lands clearly is because people are looking for gold, and this government has put in a new gold board. Well, what we have this evening indicate that the Western Central Regional Police Command has arrested 2 persons for extortion and impersonating officials of the Ghana Gold Board Task Force. The 2 suspects, Foster Delord, aged 40, and Prince Wovi, aged 39, who claimed to be ex-military officers, were arrested following a complaint received by the police that they were visiting different gold buyers claiming to be officials of the Gold Board Task Force. Exhibits retrieved from the suspects include 1 handcuff, 1 pepper spray, 1 taser, which is an electronic shocker, a set of uniforms, and a cash amount of 500 Ghana cedis. The suspects have been put before the Takwa Circuit Court and remanded into police custody pending further investigations. Now, the Regional Police Command wishes to advise the public to be cautious of individuals claiming to be officials of government agencies without proper identification.
Let's now go to Parliament, where the minority is demanding the immediate dismissal of the YEA Chief Executive Officer Malik Basentali and the Minerals Development Fund boss Hannah Bissell over what they see as their glorification of the chaos at the Ablekuma North constituency rerun. Addressing journalists in Parliament, the MP for Itiwa West, Laurette Koko-Asante, on behalf of the MPP group, demanded that President John Mahama dismisses the 2 government officials to signal his abhorrence of electoral violence.
The Minority Caucus demands the following actions: the immediate dismissal of violence-endorsing officials. President Mahama must immediately dismiss Dr. Hannah Louis Abisu from her position as CEO of the Minerals Development Fund, and Malik Basintale from his role as acting CEO of the Youth Employment Agency. Their celebration and justification of violence against opposition figures disqualifies them from holding any public office. This dismissal must happen to demonstrate that the government does not condone political violence. All individuals involved in the Ablekuma violence must be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The police must provide daily updates on their investigation and arrest. There can be no impunity for those who attack our democratic process. The Ghana Police Service must conduct a thorough investigation into their security failures, including the alleged role of Chief Superintendent Lumor Frederick Sunanu. Any officers found to be complicit in the Ablekuma North violence must face immediate dismissal and criminal prosecution. President Mahama must publicly condemn the Ablekuma North violence and personally apologize to Honorable Mavis Hawakumsun, Nanekwe Friye, and all the victims of the violent attacks. His statement must be unequivocal and without any qualification or justification for the violence.
Let's now cross over to Parliament and speak to Christian Yale, our correspondent, who has details on a statement read by the minority leader on the outcome of the Ablekuma North rerun. Christian, thank you so much for your time. What did the minority leader say? Christian, kindly unmute.
Former member of Parliament, maybe Sawa Kumse, and even after he had delivered that statement, MPs were allowed to contribute to that statement. And that had resulted in heated exchanges on the floor, where we even had the MP for Kratche West, Helen Ntoso, ordering some of the minority MPs to shut up and sit down, because in as much as they believe they have leadership roles in the chamber, she is a senior member, upon which even the minority MPs themselves also asked her to withdraw such comment because they saw it to be unparliamentary. But we can take a listen to exactly what the minority leader, Alexander Afnyomakin, who is currently on the floor, had to say about the attacks on Mavis Hawakumsin, which he has described as a military-style approach adopted by the government to stifle the progress and even the gains of the NPP in that parliamentary election rerun.
Was a calculated military-style operation targeted at disrupting our electoral process and intimidating political opponents. If left unchecked, it risks normalizing political violence in our democratic culture. Mr. Speaker, permit me to highlight some of the deeply disturbing incidents. First, at St. Pierre's Society Methodist Church polling station, a group of thugs stormed the premises on motorbikes and in vehicles. Honorable Hawa Kumsin, a former member of Parliament, was physically assaulted in broad daylight. Our parliamentary candidate, Nana Ekwe Friye, sustained some injuries to her face. Former MP Daquan Newman and several other MPP party agents were also attacked. Electoral officials fled. Voters were terrorized. At Awoshi DVLA polling station, individuals dressed in brown uniform impersonated security personnel to gain access and misled voters until they were confronted and they failed in that instance to provide any form of identification. Elsewhere, including Asiedu-Dartey Memorial School, confrontation between thugs and police officers created chaos and endangered lives. Even journalists were not spared, Mr. Speaker. A Joy News reporter and GH1 TV's Ajekum Banahine were attacked. In fact, a police officer assaulted the latter while on duty. Mr. Speaker, this is a direct attack on press freedom and the right of citizens to be informed. These were not isolated events. This was a deliberate orchestration of violence across multiple polling stations. And what is even more troubling, Mr. Speaker, is that some officials have not only failed to condemn these acts, but have celebrated them openly and publicly. Mr. Speaker, for those public officers who have endorsed this political violence, I say that it's a breach of public trust and a dangerous precedent that undermines Ghana's democratic foundation. Equally disturbing are the growing concerns about the negligence of the Ghana Police Service. Allegations have surfaced implicating Chief Superintendent Lumo Frederick Senanu in facilitating this act. Whether by omission or commission, the police service failed to protect lives and the sanctity of the electoral process in Ablekuma.
That was the minority leader in Parliament. Christian, thank you so much for your time. Christian Yali is our parliamentary correspondent.
In more news tonight, the Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Abdullahi Jinapor, has detailed the significant progress made in revitalizing the country's struggling energy sector. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series at the Jubilee House, the Yape Kusol MP provided a comprehensive update on reforms across power generation, renewable energy and petroleum production.
The minister revealed that Ghana has successfully restored reliable electricity supply following months of erratic power outages, with consistent power delivery maintained over the past 4 months. This achievement, he says, comes after decisive interventions, including restructuring the sector's massive debt, which had ballooned to $1.7 billion owed to independent power producers alone.
Yes, Car Power had threatened to shut down. We had a lot of extensive engagement with them. Under the leadership of His Excellency the President, we were able to raise some money to pay some portions of the debt, quite significant, and I can make that available to you. When we assumed office, ENI, the previous administration, had drawn down the guarantee, which was 500 million, to almost zero. So far, we've restored about half of that, and we have a program with ENI and World Bank to restore the guarantee back to 500 million. When you do that, it gives you leverage and it makes your debt servicing much, much lower. We'll take some tough decisions, but would appeal to Ghanaians to bear with us. These decisions are necessary to ensure that we bring that sector back on stream.
ECG has transitioned to a new billing system within just 3 months, streamlining operations and reducing commercial losses.
We have no choice than to do that. And I want us to do that because if you want to involve the private sector, then you must raise your company to a level where when the private sector is taking over, they would have a lot more work to do. If we don't do that, what it means is that the private sector will just take over and tweak some few areas and begin to make millions out of us.
In more news tonight, government has approved 3 out of 4 demands made by the Nurses and Midwives Association. At a news conference in Accra, the association's president, Perpetual Oforiampofu, announced that book and research allowances, uniform and fuel allowances will be included in the mid-year budget review. However, 8% non-basic allowance has been suspended due to errors in its computation. She also confirmed that the association has called off plans for a second strike.
On the 8% non-basic allowance, which was intended to appreciate the market premium of nurses and midwives upwards, the employer was emphatic that there were serious distortions which has affected the market premium of nurses and midwives, and that they will take urgent steps to rectify same. Full allowance will be paid to those who are entitled to it at government-approved rates and not at the rate of 10.99 or the ex-pump rate as contained in our collective agreement. All other items as contained in the Appendix B of the collective agreement are to be costed and included in the 2026 national budget. Agreed as follows, that 1, the employer would write to its agencies to implement the continuous professional development allowance, including the pain and iron renewal, the 13th month allowance, the medical subsidy, and other related Category 2 and 3 allowances as contained in the collective agreements. The National Council of the Association, at this point in time, has taken a decision to halt all intended industrial actions pending the full implementation of the entirety of the collective agreements.
Still watching News 360 on TV3. Stay with us. We have the latest in the world of business for you after this. Welcome back to News 360 on TV3. Michael Ogbodu is with us. Hello, Michael.
Hi, people.
What going on in business?
Well, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana will be meeting earlier than expected ahead of the media budget review.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get to know whether you get cheaper loans.
Okay. That's interesting.
To the details now. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Ogbodu. Now, the Bank of Ghana is set to hold an emergency Monetary Policy Committee MPC meeting on Thursday, July 17, 2025, more than a week earlier than the rescheduled July 28 date. The unexpected meeting comes at a time when inflation has dropped to 13.7%, triggering renewed calls from industry for a policy rate cut to support growth and credit expansion.
The Bank of Ghana will on Thursday, July 17, 2025, hold an emergency monetary policy committee meeting to review recent economic developments. This was disclosed by a reliable source from the central bank, which also stated that a policy decision will be announced on Friday, July 18. The current policy rate stands at 28%, but with inflation declining steadily to 13.7%, the lowest in over a year, there is growing pressure from the private sector for a rate cut to ease borrowing costs. Sources close to the Bank of Ghana say the meeting was brought forward to avoid a possible clash with the mid-year budget review by the Finance Ministry, which is also expected later this month. Initial engagements with members of the MPC reveal mixed positions. While some favor a rate cut, others are cautious due to global market risks and recent calls by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) for further monetary tightening. The IMF has revised Ghana's end-year inflation target from 12% to 8%, making the central bank's next move a closely watched decision.
The head of communications at the Abosokai Spare Parts Dealers Association, Techi Ado, has called on government to revisit duties on spare parts to reflect the current exchange rate. While commending government's effort to streamline port charges, he emphasized the need for a suitable exchange rate at the port that aligns with the current market rate.
Duties is down drastically. So if you think you are going to clear a car, maybe 100,000, at least 70,000 or 60 or 65,000, you will pay because of the work this government is doing. Now, the catalyst. Now, we are saying that the president is doing well, the ministry and the Bank of Ghana because of the exchange rate. Now, duty, that's the car aspect of it. But the spare parts, that's where we are finding a little challenge. It's still high. It's still some of the same level because dollar is 10 cedis, 10.5, 10.6, but the spare parts duty is high. It's the same amount. So we don't know what is happening there. If this from GRA or our agents or the customs, we should know all these things.
Government is urging governing councils and boards of state institutions to adhere to strict corporate governance practices in the transformation of state-owned enterprises. This comes in the wake of an impending boardroom government summit scheduled for October this year. The Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, has reaffirmed government's resolve at holding boards of SOEs to strict standards.
Kind of get so used to what we've been doing. And you need somebody to prompt you. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you tend to relax. And so we are so excited that Boardroom Governance Summit is coming up, whereby people are really going to discuss, strategize, and see how best to run our institutions, to run our companies, and making people understand that if you are made members of a board, it's not just the prestige of being there, but seeing yourself as the originators of the sources of the institution. Because what management does usually is premise or based on the directions given by the board. And so if members of a particular board are not so familiar with that emboldening power to give direction to the institutions will crumble. And so as a nation, once in a while, we have to remind ourselves, what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong?
We'll turn our attention now to the currency and commodities market. And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Welcome back to News 360. Let's do some sports now. For years, the Ghana Premier League was the main route for local footballers to earn moves abroad. But that pathway is evolving. A new wave of young talent are skipping the domestic league entirely, heading straight to Europe through academies. In this report by Bill Ishen, we follow the journey of Barcelona's Hafiz Gariba and others who are forging a new future for Ghanaian football, starting from Accra and reaching all the way to Spain.
For years, the Ghana Premier League served as the launchpad for homegrown talents chasing dreams abroad. It was the traditional route. Prove yourself locally, then earn a move to Europe. Legends like Stephen Appiah and Asamoah Gyan did just that. Both played in the GPL early in their careers before joining top Italian sides, later becoming icons of Ghana's historic World Cup runs in 2006 and 2010. But the landscape is shifting. In recent times, many of Ghana's rising stars are taking a different route, skipping the local league entirely. Tottenham's Mohamed Kudus, Atalanta's Kamaldeen Sulemana, and Lyon's Enes Nyama all honed their skills at the Right to Dream Academy, bypassing the GPL on their way to Europe's elite. Now, a new academy is following in those footsteps. Villarreal Africa Academy, established in 2023, is building a bridge between Ghana and Spain. Based in Accra, the academy scouts young talent and sends the bets to the Marset High Performance Academy in Barcelona, a launchpad for future professionals.
Right to Dream is one of the yardstick for any club in Ghana or in any academy or any project in Ghana. We are trying to emulate the good things that they are doing. Not all our players go through the marketing. We know not every player will be a professional player. So we normally also try to look for other avenues.
Meet Hafiz Gariba, an 18-year-old centre-back who joined FC Barcelona in early 2025 after standing out at Marset. He signed a 3-year deal and currently trains with the club's under-18 side. The dream? To rise through La Masia and one day walk onto the pitch at Camp Nou.
Even like my players, some of my players, they talk good things about me because for me like this, after training, I'm in the room and then talking with. So they like me a lot. So every day they will say, Hafiz, I'm sure that you go to Barcelona. I'm sure that you go to Barcelona. And then it happened to say, yeah. My dream is playing with, I think, Kubasi, my senior player. So that's my dream, to play with him always. Yeah.
Making that leap at a young age, though, comes with its own set of challenges, from mastering a new language to adjusting to unfamiliar food and football philosophies. For Girona midfielder Ibrahim Mohamed and Leganese's Kelvin Ewa, adapting to life in Spain has been a test of character as much as talent.
Weather, when I got there, because yes, I went there, I think the winter transfer window, yes, so I was really struggling a lot with the weather, the food, the communication. I was not able to communicate with my players, the coach, and unless they translate or before they can talk to me or something. But it was all good as time goes on.
I normally go to class to learn the Spanish so that like I'll get used to the coaches' tactics and to speak with them very well. And, yeah, so they don't really speak English and it's quite difficult.
For Hafiz, Ibrahim, and Kelvin, Spain is just the beginning. They may be wearing the colors of Barcelona, Girona, and Leganés, but at their core, they carry the weight, the pride, and the promise of Ghana. And as more academies like Villarreal Africa emerge, the future of Ghanaian football may not only lie with those who stay, but in the bold footsteps of those who dare to leave early, chase excellence, and one day return, not just as players, but as proof that a new path is possible.
That's it for Sports on News 360. Entertainment is next.
The entertainment.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, Adisa Production, the production arm of TV3, has signed a partnership agreement with the National Theatre of Ghana. Now, this collaboration will allow Adisa Production tap into the National Theatre's rich pool of spectacular performances and creative talent, promising viewers an even more exciting new season on Ghana's Most Beautiful.
Communities. And this must end now!
Since its inception, Ghana's Most Beautiful has served as a powerful platform to promote Ghanaian culture and heritage, enlightening many with the richness of our traditions and the strength of a shared identity. As the new season approaches, producers are committed to maintaining the show's high standards and a renewed focus on delivering a vibrant and culturally immersive experience. Adisa Production, the production arm of TV3, has signed a partnership agreement with the National Theatre of Ghana. This collaboration will enable Adisa Production to tap into the National Theatre's vast reservoir of spectacular performances and creative talent, providing expert training and preparation for contestants in the upcoming season. The general manager of Adisa Production, Apefa Mfojo, praised the National Theatre for its immense contribution to the preservation and promotion of Ghanaian cultural heritage.
This year, we are proud to deepen that purpose by partnering the National Theatre, a pillar of Ghanaian art and performance, to play a central role in training and equipping our contestants. We've enjoyed a long-standing working relationship in the past, and with your vast knowledge in culture and tradition, it has impacted greatly on our contestants over the years. We believe that through this collaboration, our queens will not only shine on the stage, but become the true cultural ambassadors, carrying the essence of Ghana with pride, knowledge and authenticity.
Henry Herbert Malm, director of the National Theatre, assured TV3 and Adisa Production of their unwavering commitment to delivering the best of service for the season.
The National Theatre started this journey with TV3 from the very onset, sometime in 2007. And we're indeed proud today that you continue to see us as worthy partners. Let me take this opportunity to assure you of reliable and professional services in this partnership. We are indeed very much committed to ensuring that you are given very, very good experience that will translate into great viewership for the very many patrons of this great program.
And now to some more stories. Nominations for the 77th Primetime Emmy Awards, television's top honor, were revealed Tuesday. The Apple TV Plus series, Severance, was the most nominated series, notching 27 nominations according to the Television Academy. HBO Max's The Penguin followed the 24 nominations. The Studio and The White Lotus tied for the third with 23 nominations each. Among networks and streamers, HBO Max led with 142 total nominations, a new record for the platform, followed by Netflix with 120 and Apple TV Plus with 81. And that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
The Israeli army has launched air attacks on the Syrian Defense Ministry and near the presidential palace in the capital, Damascus, killing at least 3 and wounding 34. The strikes come after Israel threatened to increase attacks if Syrian government forces are not withdrawn from the south of the country, where there has been fighting between Jews and security forces. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a Britain-based war monitor, said the attack prompted heightened security measures and gunfire near the impact zone. Drone activity was also reported over the southern skies of Syria before the airstrikes. The strike followed the collapse of a ceasefire announced by the Syrian interim government with Jews armed groups in Sweden, which led to renewed deadly clashes.
And that's it for our bulletin this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia. Gabor, do join Alfred Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.